Hi, and welcome to Conductor, where we are two sisters on a mission to amplify women's voices on the podium. Join us as we interview leaders in the field of choral music, share resources, and build a community for current and future teacher conductors, all while exploring the gender divide. I'm Kyra Starr. And I'm McKenna Stenson, and we are Conductor. All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Conductor. We are so excited to have the fabulous Dr. Elaine Choi on the podcast today. Welcome, Elaine.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
We are going to just read a little bit of Elaine's bio and then dive right in. Elaine Choi, DMA, immerses herself in Canada's vibrant choral community as a conductor, educator, adjudicator, chorister, and collaborative pianist. Elaine currently holds positions as Director of Music at Timothy Eaton Memorial Church, Artistic Director of Pax Christi Chorale, and Founder and Artistic Director of Babel. As a music educator, Elaine was a successful lecturer at the University of Toronto from 2015 to 2023 as conductor of the Soprano Alto Chorus. Currently, Elaine is an active adjudicator and a clinician for various community events, such as the 2023 Junior Treble Festival, TCDSB Music Festival, Toronto Music Festival, and so many more. In 2022, Elaine traveled to Thailand as the headline guest conductor for the Bangkok International Choral Conductor Festival clinician. Elaine is an advocate for Chinese orchestral and choral music. She was the conductor of the Toronto Chinese Orchestra from 2010 to 2017, and currently continues her connection as guest conductor and educational outreach representative. In 2018, Elaine founded Babel, an SATB choral ensemble with a mission to bridge cultures through choral music. The ensemble worked with more than 200 musicians in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Macau in its inaugural tour in 2019, and was featured in the Canadian Opera Company Showcase Series in 2023. Elaine holds the degrees of Doctor in Musical Arts and Master in Music Performance, Choral Conducting from the University of Toronto under the tutelage of Dr. Hilary Apfelstadt, former conductor interviewee, and Dr. Doreen Rao. In December 2023, Elaine was awarded the Ontario Arts Council's Leslie Bell Prize for Choral Conducting. Welcome, Elaine. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
So we're going to dive into our interview. And as you conduct her guests know, we have 3 core questions that we're going to start with. So Elaine, would you tell us how you came to choral music?
Yes, absolutely. So I always think that I came to music at a very early age. My mom was a piano teacher, is a current piano teacher. But I actually came to choral music a little bit later, even though I did dabble in a lot of choral music growing up in schools. Growing up in Hong Kong, I was born and raised in Hong Kong. Choral music is very much our general music classes. So I would say a lot of us grew up singing solfege, singing generally because the general music courses have so much to do with choral music. Because I was a pianist at a young age, I was always tossed into the collaborative piano playing as soon as there is a choir. So I didn't get to sing as much as I wanted to now that I think about it. However, I don't remember a lot of things from childhood, but somehow like all of the childhood memory I have were kind of tied into choral music. I actually distinctly remember my youngest memory was that I was at a mall as an angel singing caroling at age 5, like with like glittery gowns. It was really cute. But when it comes to really coming to choral music, it was not until my undergraduate degree at the University of Toronto. All piano majors had to be in choral music at University of Toronto undergrad. And I just loved singing together. I've always been a collaborator. And and that's where I got into choral music, really actively singing in the women's chorus. First year, directed by Bob Cooper, and then the second year onwards, I was in the University SATB Chamber Choir, which is the Macmillan Singers. That's where I met Dr. Doreen Rao, who became my first conducting teacher in my master's degree.
Wow. I relate a lot, Elaine, in terms of having kind of a blur of childhood memories that are all centered around music. That sentence really stuck out to me. And I think growing up when you're immersed in music, it's not so much a singular event that you can really pinpoint, but really just you recognize that there's been a pattern and a consistency that's kind of led you to where you are. And it sounds like piano has really been a through line for that. That's kind of opened the door into choral music for you. So when we think about you as a young pianist, being a performance major, I'm assuming in undergrad as piano performance?
I was a music education major.
Incredible. Great. So we're a music education major and you're working with Doreen Rao. What then was the event that led you to say, I want to be a choral conductor specifically?
That's a great question because that was a very vivid memory, actually. So I remember in third year undergrad, we had a chance as music education major to take streams of, band and orchestra, orchestral conducting, and choral education. The class, I believe, the course code is 330. I still remember. And that year, we ended up not having just one teacher, lecturer teaching the course because that usual teacher was on sabbatical. We ended up having modules of meeting a lot of conductors that year. And that one year, I got to meet so many amazing female conductors, especially. There was Lydia Adams, Elise Bradley, Eileen Baldwin, Linda Beaupre. These are all like amazing female conductors in Toronto. That was our former generation, and it was just so inspiring. And the most light bulb moment was working with Cynthia Polos, who is now the artistic director of Toronto Children's Chorus. I got to see her work and she got to see me conduct some of my early stage of conducting. I remember she distinctly saying that, Elaine, you have a way to connect with people with your eyes and without spoken words. And then that same year, I also saw her working with her choirs. Similar to me, she's also an immigrant to Canada. English was not her first language, and that was her early years speaking in English in Canadian empowerment and teaching. And I just noticed her core conducting and her teaching and her genuine personality transcends language, and language barrier did not become a thing that stopped her from conveying her music language. And that was like, aha, that was a moment that was extremely important to me. Being someone who's new to Canada still at that time, I was actually quite self-conscious with my language. I wanted to be a kindergarten teacher at one point in my life, but I used to think that my accent will rub off on children, and that was the reason why I did not want it to become a kindergarten teacher. It's hard to believe, I know, because it sounds like it's a fluent language to me now, but I was very self-conscious. So to see Cynthia Polos being able to use choral conducting to bridge the gap and also connect with people, that was a really profound moment, and I would say that was definitely one of the major moments that kind of invited me to be a choral conductor. And then Doreen Brown was like, well, I'm retiring soon, so you should do a master's degree with me. And that was her push of doing it. And I went for it. No regrets. I'm so grateful.
Wow, Elaine, that's an amazing story. And what a journey coming from Hong Kong to do your undergrad at the University of Toronto. And then one thing that I'm always struck by Canada is just the international feel in many of the cities, especially Toronto, Vancouver. And I thought that you had some just absolutely stunning things that you shared in there. One I took away was choral conducting bridges a gap and connects with people beyond the English language. And I just cannot embody that any better than what you just said. So I feel like that is just amazing, and how powerful to have that circuit of female conductors in your life at such a formative time and to come through and to make that impact. We were lucky enough to chat with Zamfira earlier in the season. So how cool that both of you are going to be in this season together.
And now a quick word from our sponsors.
Conductor, 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 conductor.
Hi, I'm Jocelyn Hagan, composer and founder of Compose Like a Girl, a choral series dedicated to empowering composers who identify as women through mentorship, publication, and promotion. With over 30 pieces in the series, with many different voicings, we're showcasing fresh, compelling music like Womankind by Emily Drum, The Infinity of Space by Ritika Bhattacharjee, and When I Become an Old Woman by Sherry Blevins. Explore the catalog at jocelynhagan.com/composelikeagirl and graphitepublishing.com.
And we're back. Our last intro question is, was there maybe anyone helpful or influential in your journey who you didn't mention yet that you wanted to share about?
Absolutely. The most important one in my journey for sure is Dr. Hilary Appelstadt, and not just her, but the people that she brings into our lives. Whew, I might get choked up thinking about that because it's so important. Dr. A has this wonderful vision really for choral education. She doesn't just think about a choral education that will benefit all levels of students in the university, but when she bring in the graduate conductors in, she makes sure that we are all good fit with one another. And I'll tell you a little bit why it is so emotional to me a little bit later on. But Dr. A came into my life even before my doctorate degree. I was working already. I was in between degrees, and she took the time to spend time with me, help me prepare for my application. She came to my rehearsals and kind of guided me even before I became her student. She is always so incredibly generous with her time. And she also has taught us how to be genuine, be authentic, be honest, respect the students. One of the very simple things that she taught is rehearsal always start on time so that it always end on time. This is a way to respect our students. We always come in rehearsal extremely prepared because we don't want to waste anyone's time. Her way of communicating with anyone who is first year of undergraduate degree students that don't even know about choral music yet. Like myself, I was a piano major who didn't quite understand why I needed to be in choirs per se. To her doctorate students who came to choral conducting, she treated all of us with the same integrity and philosophy of choral music that can bring community together. The reason why I'm also all choked up talking about that is Dr. A is selective with her graduate students in the way that she wanted to make sure that all of us share a very similar philosophy with choral music, which is we are team players. It's a we choir. It's never my choir, but we need everyone together to run a program, to run a team, to run an ensemble. I always say, as conductor, we don't get to be conductor without the people that are making music with us, right? Like we're just waving arms. So she brought together so many people in our lives that I'm continuously grateful for. The first big shout out is my little DMA trio, including myself, Dr. Mark Ramsey, Dr. Tracy Wong. I know you've talked to Tracy as well. Both of them are my closest friends. In addition to just graduated together, we all defended our doctorate degree in the 1 week doctorate. A saw through 3 doctoral dissertations in 1 week. It was incredible. And then there are also people like big sisters to us, like Melissa Morgan. Fred Farrell was also part of that program. And then there are also other graduate conductors like Brett Barnum, who stay very closely connected to us, Ryan Jenkins, and there are more and more and more that I can't continue to name. Dr. A has brought lifelong amazing friendship and support system and cohort of conductors that is beyond just being a choir mentor, is a life mentor to us. And hey, it's Mother's Day yesterday when we recorded this, so to me, like she's definitely such an important mother figure to all of us, so I'm grateful.
Oh, that's so beautiful, Elaine. We can just hear the passion in your voice for all of these people and are very confident that they all feel the same about having you in their life. And having interviewed Dr. Appelstadt, we know what a special and unique person she is. And we're so grateful that she was such a great influence in your early musical career, and I'm sure continues to be so for you today.
Well, this is just totally a tangent, but the world is so small. So I went to the Ohio State University for my undergrad to study with Dr. A, who then went to you all in Toronto. You mentioned Ryan Jenkins, and I just have to tell you this because it's hilarious. And Ryan, if you're listening, you're welcome. We worked at the same church in New Albany, Ohio, and I was the person who got to pick him up on Sunday mornings to take him to our church job. I'll leave it at that. But we had a lot of really hilarious drives on Sunday morning and wonderful human. And anyway, that's just the music world, friends, is so small.
It is so small. We're still working with church's collaboration project together, even though he's back in the States and we're here. So lifelong collaboration that will happen because of Dr. A bringing all of us together, right?
Oh my goodness. Well, we're so excited to have you here, Elaine. And this year we know has been full of tumultuous energy for you. And it's been unexpected and trying and hard in a lot of ways. And we're so grateful to have you on the podcast to share a little bit about your journey this past year, which has been filled with unexpected health challenges, a cancer diagnosis, and also you continuing to work as an active musician and leader in our field. And so could you share a little bit about the past year and your health journey up to this point.
Absolutely. And thanks for giving me the platform to share that too, because it's such an important year that I know I'm learning and gaining so much perspective out of it. So I'm really grateful. So, backtracking a little bit, last year was a very exciting year for myself. I was awarded the Leslie Bell Conducting Prize, which I'm so grateful for. And I also got to be the conductor of the Ontario Youth Choir, which happened in August of 2024. And I think it's important to share this message because sometimes, as conductors and as musicians and hardworking overachievers, we oftentimes, our adrenaline is running so high that we forget about our body. And I will be very honest to say, I found a lump in my breast maybe in June of 2024, which was even before Ontario Youth Choir, before I was doing a lot of events. I kind of just let it go. I'm like, oh, it might be nothing. So I purposely waited till after to check on that. And then in October, I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer, which is a more aggressive type of breast cancer. It was found early, fortunately, even though I have waited for a while to get checked. I'm still very grateful that it was caught in stage 1, but it is an aggressive grade of breast cancer. I remember when I got the diagnosis, it's bad to say that, but this speaks to us as commitment of conductors. I was still in the doctor's office. I told one family member, and the second email that I reached out was to China because in 2 weeks after my diagnosis, I was supposed to go to China for one of my debut conducting opportunity. And as someone who's a Chinese immigrant, to go back to China, that was something that was really important. But I remember just even in the doctor's office getting my diagnosis, I email them and say, hey, as soon as you get this email, can you give me a call? Things are about to change a lot. This year was supposed to be a big international year. I was supposed to go to China, to Poland, and have a lot of exciting conducting opportunity. But instead, a quick pivot into fighting cancer. And yeah, I'm going to start by giving you the exciting news first. At this moment, I'm cancer free. Yay! So it's been a quick year actually. So I was diagnosed in October. I started chemo treatment in November, and I had double mastectomy surgery in March. So it all went by. And one of the things that I wanted to share is there are normalcy to fighting cancer. I know I'm very fortunate and privileged to be able to continue to do a lot of my work and a lot of music making throughout this time, and not everyone gets to do that, but the music making was actually the fuel that keep me going this whole time. Especially groups like Timothy Eaton Memorial Church. I said that every Sunday when I go back, it is important to feed my soul and my spiritual needs, and also my friendship, my social needs. Pax Christi Chorale has been the ongoing music force that keep us going. I remember doing Children's Messiah during my third treatment, or second. I haven't lost my hair yet at that time. And that was my first time doing a really big event. We performed the entire Bruckner Mass in E right after my last chemo treatment. It is a really hard piece for a community choir, and we were resilient and we brought it together, and that was amazing. And then during my surgery, it affected some of my mobility. It was really interesting. I actually brought in my good friend, Dr. Mark Ramsey, who's a conductor here in Toronto, Exotati Chambers Singers, artistic director. He came and conduct while I instructed the choir because I couldn't wave my arm. So we went through a couple of rehearsals like that, just to show like how choirs and people can be so amenable and flexible and adaptable. And we just had our concert this past weekend called We Are Phoenix, one of the world premiere of Tim Takash piece, also celebrating resilience and commitment. And what a way to kind of wrap up this cancer journey with choir through a piece called We Are Phoenix, where we fall and we rise again. All in all, everything just lined up beautifully. And if anything, I just learned so much about the power of community and people coming together and cheering me on. And if anything, I'm just filled with an overwhelming sense of gratitude.
And now, a quick word from our sponsors.
Conductor, 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 conductor.
The Conductor Choral Series, powered by Music Spoke, is an intentional platform that highlights the voices of women and their allies in the choral music world. This series is designed to elevate and celebrate the contributions of women throughout history, as well as those currently shaping the music scene. Its name, Conductor, intertwines the role of a conductor with the concept of empowerment and the recognition of women in music, a field where their contributions have often been overlooked or underrepresented.
The series serves as a celebration of diverse women's voices, composers, conductors, singers, and advocates, by providing access to choral works that reflect their unique perspectives, creativity, and experiences. Through this collection, Music Spoke gives both emerging and established composers the opportunity to share their voices with the choral community, providing a sense of inclusivity, visibility, and accessibility to repertoire. Check out the Conduct Her Choral Series today for your next concert.
And we're back.
One of the things that we've learned is to lean on our family as well. And being a conductor sometimes has so much going on, and we are always serving our music community. And then at the end, going home to know that someone we can lean on is so important. And through this journey, my husband Noel has been such an important, just steady force in my life. And I feel like we can come into the house and he just kind of have our normal self. We're very silly as a couple. We've been married for a long time. He just knows me very well. He doesn't baby me as a cancer patient, but at the same time is very gentle, knowing where my limit is, and that was so important. And he also recognized that throughout this journey, I needed my music outlet. Just supporting me through all of that, I'm really grateful for. So, a little shout out to my lovely Noel.
We can very much relate to having an incredibly supportive spouse and partner in life. And I love that you two are silly, and I wish for silliness for everyone in their relationships. My husband and I have our own language, and we have all these words that don't make any sense to anyone but us. And I'm so glad that you've had this incredible person in your life as a constant force during this trying year.
Yeah, and during our musical lives too, because our time can be so busy all the time. And a supportive spouse is, I'm so grateful because we don't have a 9 to 5 job. Like, we are lucky if we get to sit together and have dinner, once a week. So just that patience is amazing. And especially this year through this journey, I'm really grateful.
Well, Elaine, I mean, there's really no words to add to what you said because they're just so powerful. And thank you so much for sharing so much about your journey. I know that's a nutshell in comparison to all the things that you've been through. I remember meeting you, I think it would have been April of 2024. And immediately I was like, we have to have Elaine on the podcast. So a powerhouse woman through and through. I've been privileged to be a part of your Instagram journey. I don't know if you know, I follow your health page, and I followed your journey from the very beginning of that diagnosis all the way through the most recent news of celebrating being cancer-free. But we know within that there are just so many ups and downs. And I've just been really astonished by your honesty and your demonstrating that through hard things that community is so important. Whether you knew or not, I was along for your ride. And so we're wondering, what have you learned about yourself in this past year?
Thank you for asking. A good friend of mine who's a music therapist, actually, and also psychotherapist, a shout out to Dan Baker, a beautiful bass that sings in our choir as well. He asked me at some point, he's like, what have you learned? And I had a moment of reflecting. I realized even though physically it's not been the healthiest time of my life, I think it might be my mentally healthiest time in my life. I struggled a lot with imposter syndrome earlier on. I think it comes with a lot of us that we just work so hard, and social media sometimes is so loud because you feel like you're always competing with who's doing what. So when you have a chance to put health and body and yourself in priority for the first time in your life, you realize it's like there are so much more to life than just trying to catch one gig after the other. It gave me a chance to sit back and appreciate just doing music without getting so caught up with the tiny details and putting out fire. It gave me a much bigger picture in a way. I had a little bit more time to remind myself to put my own body first. I have to learn to listen to my body, which I'm still not great at. Another thing that I've learned a lot is how to accept love and hope and also express the need when I need hope and also express love. I am one to very quickly put a lot of things on my plate and try to do everything on my own, from moving chairs, caring about ticket sale, talking to patrons, talking to choir members. If a choir member is looking not well, I'm quick to attend to them. But I realize sometimes we forget to care for our own body and give ourselves a chance to breathe before we serve. This is a year for me to realize is I need to tend to my own body first so I can serve more people and continue to care for everyone through music with my whole self.
Mm, that is so powerful, Elaine. When I was getting ready for this podcast and thinking about you this morning, this was a topic that I had on my mind that I was wondering if you would talk about, just this concept of burnout. And I was thinking about how I personally am feeling a lot of it right now. It's been a really exhausting and exciting and gratifying year for me. I've had a lot of incredible opportunities, and I resonated to what you were saying, where I was like, wow, sometimes, yeah, it does just feel like the train is moving and you just get on, and all of these things keep you going in this really positive direction, but you're also exhausted and feeling the need to continue on. And I think a lot of us feel that strive, or that driven quality to continue to the next concert, the next event, the next conference, whatever it might be. And I was wondering if this has made you maybe reprioritize, like in terms of music, health, family, and friends. Has this made you consider that kind of pyramid of what keeps us going and sort of how it organizes itself in your mind? And as a follow up to that, is there anything that you wish that colleagues better understood about navigating health and staying healthy in our field?
Whew, that's a lot of great questions there. And there's also a lot of thoughts. I'm just sharing my opinion and my thoughts. Is not the answer, obviously. One of the things that I have a really big takeaway from my boss at the church, he does not think of it himself as a boss, but the senior minister of the church, his name is Reverend Dr. Jason Biasi. He has been such an advocate of me and the music ministry that is not just because of my health situation, even before that. But he has kind of been saying to the whole church and the congregation and also the team leader, because I work in that institution, I'm using that as an example. He said that, well, it shouldn't take Elaine getting cancer to help find her the support system she needs. I'm like, that was incredible. He also kind of talked to me because I had a really big panic attack during a staff meeting right before I got my chemo treatment. And he kind of said to me, it's like, Elaine, sometimes you need to let go a little bit so that your team will grow through this. And I have to say, he was exactly right, because we are walking out of this season. Like, as musicians, we kind of count our year as September to June concert season. Church is the same way. We are coming out of this season with a bigger music ministry, with more creative projects, with more ideas, with more music that is coming out that is touching people's hearts than ever. And that has so much to do with me letting go and letting everyone else come together and rise together. That was something that was really powerful to actually witness.
And now, a quick word from our sponsors.
Conductor, 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 conductor.
Hey, Kyra.
Hey, McKenna.
You know what choral directors are always looking for?
What?
Well, as choral directors, we are always looking for new pieces to program for our upcoming concerts, and Pavon Publishing is proud to have some outstanding women composers and conductors in his catalog.
Wow, what are some of the new releases?
Well, let me tell you. Canto e Liberta by Diana Saez and Suzette Ortiz for treble voices, piano, and percussion. It was premiered under the direction of Dr. Iris Levine from Conductor Season 1 and is in her Pavan Treble Choral series.
Ukrainian composer Irina Alexichuk's Holy Lord of Hosts is stunning and was premiered in the US by Grant Gershon and the LA Master Chorale. Grant has launched his new series with Pavan in support of this remarkable composer.
Zenaida Robles, one of the most sought-after female writers, will have her latest composition, The Summit is Nigh, premiered at the ACDA National Convention in Dallas this March. Again, a Conductor Season 2 interviewee.
Janaea Robison, conductor of the Lutheran National Choir, has two new offerings: an SATB voicing of her successful setting of I Wonder as I Wander, and new editions of Bach's cantata BWV 118, with alternative lyrics that enables performances from Advent and Christmas to Palm Sunday and Easter. Check out Pavan Publishing today at pavanpublishing.com.
And we're back.
I think the same goes with the community choir that I work with, Pax Christi Chorale. We have multi-generations of community singers that are with us, and I think it just kind of brought us closer and closer together. I remember there was one rehearsal before Bruckner Mass that I was starting to get really fatigued, and I couldn't wave my arms anymore, but then I was just using my face and my body to kind of guide them. And those were some of the most beautiful music making moments, and it's when I let go of doing this in front of their faces. I literally just sat there and guide them through the entrances. And that is a core memory I would never forget because the choir sounded more cohesive, more united. Part of me is like, well, you don't need me for this concert. I have to say, I'm really grateful to witness some of these things to kind of remind us that part of letting go kind of allow the support system and other people to grow through this time. I don't know, does that kind of answer a little bit of your question, Kyra?
Absolutely. You spoke beautifully about your boss at the church and the colleagues and singers in your ensemble stepping forward and taking more leadership roles and taking more ownership over the music. When you think about other colleagues in the field, maybe who don't even know you, who are just navigating this on their own, is there anything that you wish they knew about staying healthy or listening to your body? Is there any advice that you might have for everyone else who's maybe trying to navigate these things together?
Yes. This journey has made me kind of realize how much our adrenaline and our passion and our head can mask so much of what our body is feeling. I have always thought that as a musician, music comes quite intuitively to me, and feeling music and working and putting people together and connecting, those all become first nature because I just love and feel so passionate about it. Through this journey, I realized I don't know my body at all. And my doctors have been saying that actually. They're like, wow, Elaine, like, do you know that you have had an allergic reaction that happened like literally 20 minutes before and you did not realize until later? Because I think our heads has been so strong that we've masked all of these body signals that have been telling you. I haven't figured it out yet, but that awareness now, but I haven't quite gotten so in tune with my body yet. But because I spent so much time in my last 2 decades ignoring all of these signals, right? In a way, I've got a little minor cold, no problem. I've got a headache. Oh, we're going to muster through. Well, those are little things to tell us that maybe your body cannot catch up. I used to say that and almost take pride at the fact that stress is my fuel to continue to motivate myself. Well, it's not healthy, truly. I forget to eat sometimes. If we forget to drink, we forget to use the washroom when we are having our concert days. If you think about it, it's like, when's the last time, like we take a sip of water? We always have a water bottle with us. I don't know if you find that. Like I always hold a water bottle, but like at the end of the day, I'm like after a choir rehearsal, it was the same heaviness. This is now at the end of my cancer journey is how do I go into my next self learning some of these and not falling it into bad habits.
I mean, there's so much to glean again from what you're sharing, Elaine, and I think that regardless of anyone's health journey, and honestly, regardless of the invisible barriers between continents and countries, that in the music field, there is a drive and there is a perseverance that I think comes in part with a profession that doesn't always have a full-time position that's the next step, right? Because it's oftentimes piecing together, creating a life with many organizations that all need attention and all need honored. And all of that being said, this year for me has been marked by the word surrender. And that's something that I've been reflecting on the past couple of days because, like you've been saying, some of the things that I really needed to unpack, I literally just couldn't unpack in this year because of a just survival year. But surrendering and doing instead of what I felt like I needed to do, just doing maybe what I was physically capable of. And this is the first year that I have felt, and this is my privilege, that I have felt physically unable to accomplish a number of tasks and mentally unable to accomplish a number of tasks, and for good reasons on my end, complications with some health things and bringing a human in the world and the things that come with that. And so I just wondered, as you were navigating all of these challenges and thinking about that stress, what was the impact of music in this journey for you, and why did you keep coming back to that?
I don't know, do I have words to describe that impact? in in a glimpse, you can say that it's such a great distraction. For that couple of hours during rehearsal, I don't need to think about fighting cancer. I can be me. It's the best distraction, truly. I remember at a board meeting with Pax, again, right before the medical journey has started. I'm so grateful. And another person that I got to lean on to is the executive director of Pax Chrissy Corral. She's an incredible administrator, but also just a kind human that guided me through. Cynthia Hawkins is her name. She has figured out how to roll out that news to the choir. We have 100 singers, like how do we tell them, board members? She has come up with contingency plan even before I knew how my body is going to react. And I remember feeling so heartbroken seeing this contingency plan that has all of these other conductors' name on it to support. And I'm like, but what about me? I want to make music. And I'm so grateful that the board was like, yep, like you are currently in a work with accommodation situation. We want to put your mental health first. Cynthia, even though she's an administrator, she was also a former musician, and she recognized how much I needed the music making to keep going with this journey. And I'm grateful that she advocated for me, even though she also helped me think of a contingency plan. And we did ended up having to find that balance constantly. There was one concert I couldn't do. We were able to have wonderful people to lean back on. And as I said, when I couldn't wave my arms but still have the body energy to go to rehearsal, we were able to be flexible. I was telling the choir yesterday or 2 days ago when we had our final concert of the season, I am truly so grateful for choral communities, not just the immediate ones, not just Pax Chrissy Chorale, not just Babel, not just Timothy Eaton, who I get to see and make music with that feel me, but also the bigger music community, like McKenna, like you and I only met once through Toronto connection, but I get messages from afar, from everywhere to cheer me on, and I needed that. I really do. I cannot see myself fighting this journey on my own. My best friend Mark said in the early days of diagnosis, and one day it just slipped out. He's like, "We've got this." So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go with "We've got this" because I view music as a we project. I'm a collaborator. I think in my life to battle this big journey, I needed to be a we journey as well. And I'm grateful for all the people that are in this WE we in my life. Truly.
Oh, I love that so much, Elaine. That's the second time you've said we in this podcast specifically. And I think that a lot of us can resonate with the concept of we. In some of the job interviews that I've had, they've asked, like, why do you want to do this? And I'm like, well, it's the people. I mean, music is the conduit, and it's the incredible privilege of getting to work with other human beings and make music. Like, how lucky are we that is our job? It's just unbelievable. And I just really appreciate all of your honesty and speaking about, the challenges of this journey and figuring out the complexities of having cancer and continuing to work and having these conversations. And I had a thought while you were talking, which was you spoke a little bit about how you worked with your administrator to break the news to the choir and figure that out. And I was wondering if you could speak a little bit more about having honesty and authenticity throughout this process with your choir. This is not at all the same as your journey, but this year I was applying for jobs in secret while working with my choir, and I wasn't sure if I was going to return for my third year of my doctorate or be working at another university. And when the time came for our last rehearsal, I had to tell the choir that I didn't know what was going to happen. And I talked about it with my therapist, and she was like, Kyra, this is such a good example for them because I'm going to get emotional thinking about it. But she was like, it's okay not to know the answer, and how powerful for them to see that in music and in life, we might not know what's coming, and that's okay. And so I was wondering if you could talk about, having these conversations with your choir and not knowing what your outcome would be.
And I'm sorry that you have to experience that, but sometimes those are what bring us together, right? It's and that's what this community for. We always talk about community when it comes to choral music, but to share that vulnerability and to connect with them in a heart to heart level really bring us so close together. Kira, I'm so glad to hear that you also lean on your therapist to guide you through that too. I think that is so important because we are headstrong, we're determined people. People have been teasing me of how stubborn Elaine is, which I know I am. But to know that we can lean on our community to help support those hard journeys is important. To be honest, in the beginning, when I decided to think about how to roll out the information to the choirs, and then later on, I actually purposely waited a couple of weeks so that my immediate people know about it before I start sharing it in social media. It actually comes from a very practical standpoint. I get very emotional when I see other people express. I think I have a caretaker kind of personality. Number 2, Enneagram. I think that's the helper. People were saying I start managing other people's reaction. And I realized even though I had since October to process the news, every time I tell someone I have cancer, especially older people in our choir community and church, they start getting so devastated and so upset for me. And it just makes me even more upset because I wanted to care for them. How we roll out the information to the choirs and also Instagram is I actually wanted to show them that I'm okay. I'm okay, everyone. I conducted a rehearsal. Our rehearsal was on a Monday night. And I remember I had a great energized rehearsal. And really, until I had my chemo, I was just like myself. I was probably exactly like how you saw me, McKenna, in April of 2024. You can't feel cancer. That's the scary thing. Like, it's truly invisible. You don't feel it. You felt like you just like normal self. In fact, the healthiest I've ever been is how I felt. So I had a choir rehearsal on the Monday night, and Cynthia, the wonderful administrator, helped me send out this email with my words for them on Tuesday morning. And they then have a whole week to process that information. And then I just remember is, you know, let's make music because that's going to help us find that relief. Similar with Instagram, I decided to put my journey out there because I know that people care for me so much and I want to make sure that they are all informed. So I just got my words out there. I said it also in front of the whole church. And again, my wonderful Jason, the senior minister, said to me, Elaine, people care and they want to know you. If you treat them like friends, this is just informing them. I did not want to hear murmurs out that side. I want to be in control of the message. And I think most importantly, I want people to know that, yes, this is a health journey that I have to endure this year, but mentally I'm strong and physically I'm also strong and I'm brave and I can do this. I don't think that this is a sucky thing in my life. I have not once been angry or upset about the diagnosis. I knew very early on that I will learn so much out of this, and I am learning so much out of it. And I'm honestly so grateful to witness the support I get, the cheering on that I receive. And people said it's like, Elaine, that's a testimony of the relationships that you have built all this time. Normally, I'm very quick to say, yeah, it's okay. No, thank you. I'm good. It's really quick to wave away the compliments and the cheer and the support. So this time around, I have to just admit, as I have all these people that are supporting me, I need to absorb it and not deflect it.
I don't know all of the emotions that you've gone through in the past year, but I was angry and mad for you. I was just like infuriated. Just from that one meeting, I was like, she's my friend. Like, how could this be happening? This is someone and she's so young and so healthy. And like all those things that you just said, cancer, you can't feel it in that way. I remember just you talking about like you've been on like a workout journey and like been going through this whole revitalization, but this revitalization, this emotional, spiritual, physical journey that you're describing, Elaine, you always have been amazing. And the lessons that you have learned through this and that are willing to share with us are ones that I think we all really need to take to heart and really need to spend some time thinking about our life. And that's something in the past couple weeks I've been thinking about, like what really is important at the end of the day, like what is really important and how can we live this life that we get to have right now to the fullest. Even just starting with absorbing a compliment when somebody says, hey, you did a great job, or thank you so much for insert thing, or it's so meaningful to get to make music with you. Just to be able to say thank you. And how many times do we find ourselves second guessing all of those things?
And now, a quick word from our sponsors.
Conductor, 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 conductor.
Hey everyone, come check out the newest collaborations with Conductor and Call Time Clothing. Shop the newest designs from your favorite female conductor-owned clothing line, inspired by choir music education, made to order just for you. Get one of your own for $35 Canadian, or about $26 American, plus a flat rate shipping fee. Visit calltimeclothing.com today. Do you live near other conductors and want to save on shipping? Order multiple tees in one order so that you only pay one shipping fee. Visit calltimeclothing.com today or follow us on Instagram.
And we're back.
Yeah, normally, like that's exactly it. When some people come to the concert, usually they would say, "Oh wow, the choir sounds fantastic." My default answer was always, "Oh, they are the one that make the music." But yes, just saying thank you and allow yourself to absorb that is not going to inflate the ego right away.
That's so counterintuitive. I just feel that all the time. Like, I don't absorb words of affirmation very well. I think I need to work on that.
But the facilitating of music making, that's the thing. That is a purpose that is the instigator for so many beautiful things. And so I think, like you said, to help bring those things to life and to help others feel the joy and the purpose and the wellness that comes from that collaborative spirit, that isn't ego. That is just what maybe we're supposed to do. And especially in a year to have to say farewell to some of these amazing opportunities that I know will come back to you. They will boomerang back around, but to not be able to go to Bangkok and to not be able to go to Poland, but instead to say, you know what, we're going to do Bruckner. The opportunity to work with the Ontario Youth Choir and be with them through this cycle to demonstrate just the power of music and humanity and connection, but also a model, like Kyra was saying, of it's okay to have things that are unknown. And sometimes that grit and that determination is how life really is. And those lessons are oftentimes, one of my teachers always says, the lessons are not always pleasant, but they're always valuable. And so to find the value in things that take that perseverance and determination, it takes a remarkable person to do that, Elaine.
Thank you. So many people have said, wow, you're so strong, you're so brave, you're such a warrior. And I am still learning to actually take in those words, believe it or not. Because to me, I was like, well, I really don't have any options, do I? Like, right? Like one foot in front of another, I just know how to deal with it my own way. But that's really important reminder, McKenna, is to say, yeah, thank you.
Before we go to our last couple questions, we wanted to ask you, Elaine, what are some things that you are looking forward to in the year ahead?
This journey is still not over yet, unfortunately. I have to be going on preventative chemo starting actually in a week or two, which is another couple of side effects to navigate. It actually broke my heart a little bit that my husband had booked a trip to Italy for a couple of weeks in August and I couldn't go. But at this moment, I think it's just one foot in front of another to see how this preventative chemo will affect me. And in terms of looking ahead, I really want to bring in everything I learn to my new self. I'm still working really hard to not go back to the same hamster wheel that we were on, or that train, as you said, Kyra. I want to learn to understand how my body works a little bit better. If you ask me the year before how to answer that question, it would have been so easy to answer. I was like, oh, I know that I'm going to go on this trip and that trip and at this concert and that concert. At this moment, I'm like, I'm just going to let my life take me where it is and all these new lessons I'm learning mentally and continue to foster that growth truly of friendship, my support system, my love for life, my love for life via music as a vehicle? It's a very vague answer, but I don't know yet. But I'm excited for a healthier body to allow me to do more things.
Cheers to that. Cheers to
Yeah.
your next chapter, Elaine, and taking all of these lessons into the next version of you. We wish you all of the best in that journey and continuing to find the light in each step forward that you're taking. We're so privileged to have been a small part in this conversation with you.
Oh my God, it's such a big part. I'm so grateful to have a chance to talk about this. So thank you.
Absolutely. So we're going to introduce our fast 5 questions to you. These are quick. The first thing that comes to your mind is appropriate. There's no wrong answers. Do not feel stressed about whatever you say. And so we've got 5 quick questions, and then we'll let you go, Elaine. And the first is, what is a current favorite song or octavo or composer that's on your mind?
Considering Matthew Shepard, Craig Keller Johnson.
Mm, great one. Elaine, what is one misconception about you?
I feel like I'm an open book. I feel like people would just know me. Yeah.
I love that. Beautiful.
What is one word to describe you as a conductor?
Caring.
That exudes for sure. Elaine, do you have a choral blooper that you would be willing to share? A time when you were involved with a choir, something that maybe didn't go quite right?
Okay, so a choral blooper, there were quite a lot. There's one that is a little inappropriate. I don't know, can I share this?
That's encouraged.
But
Yes.
I think it's because of my language barrier. So sometimes when we do warm up, I love swimming. So I always tell the choir, I was like, okay, let's do some swimming exercises. Let's pretend that we're swimming. Let's do a little breaststroke. Let's do a little side stroke. And I'm like, okay, let's do a little backstroke. I was like, okay, why don't we do this like the doggy style? And I'm like, and I apparently I said it a couple of times. Oh, this is so inappropriate.
This is a perfect blooper, Elaine. This is right up there. That is literally fabulous.
Oh, that's
I said
brilliant.
it at least 3 times apparently, and I still did not realize that until a choir member had to come back to me like mortified after the rehearsal. It's like, well, Elaine, I think you meant doggy paddling. I don't know. What do you call that?
Doggy paddle. That's exactly
Doggy
right.
paddle. Yeah, I did not say that. Oh, gosh, yeah, that's a terrible one.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. We like to point out that we're all human and we make these mistakes. All right. Our last question for you is, what is a favorite choral memory that you could share with us?
Well, going back to your very first question, what was my favorite piece? And I said, considering Matthew Shepard, Craig Johnson. I think the reason why it's one of my favorite pieces is because it was also the first piece I got to conduct with Pax Christi Chorale after the pandemic. I think we can all feel the impact. Obviously, we don't have to talk about the pandemic again and again. But as choral artists, we miss our community. I always say it's like the biggest thing that I missed was the anticipation of the breath that everyone around you took together and then enter. And I got the position as, first of all, interim artistic director and later on artistic director of Pax Christi Chorale, it was an incredible opportunity. And then I remember we were working up towards a Christmas concert, and then the second one hit. And then the first time I actually got to share a stage moment with that choir is that piece. You know, like there were so many incredible memories leading up to that concert. Some wonderful friends that were soloists and instrumentalists. Alex Maris was our Matthew. He's a great jazz artist, but to have him just beautifully sharing that moment, to share the stage with the choir, it was incredible. And I also remember during the pandemic going back to my past self being very self-conscious and insecure. It's like, okay, 2 years of not actually conducting, like teaching courses through Zoom. Do I still know how to conduct? You know, it's crazy to think that we thought that we can't conduct anymore. But I was self-conscious, and to know that I was able to grow through the pandemic and to do such a massive work, that was really impactful. So that was one, and all of the concerts this year. Oh my gosh! Like to do Bruckner Mass after chemo and to do We Are Phoenix after surgery is like all of them are amazing memories. So.
And if you haven't had the chance to check out Timothy Takash's new work, We Are Phoenix, it is a really powerful, new, mini large work. We did it with the Tallahassee Community Chorus here at FSC. We were one of those groups. Yeah. And so my treble choir, Lavana, sang the 2 soprano solo movements. And it's a really neat piece. We would love to have you back in the future to talk about all the other amazing things that are in your bio. But for today, we are so grateful for this conversation. Conductor fans, definitely check out the fabulous Dr. Elaine Choi on all of her various websites. You should definitely tune in and check out more of our Conductor episodes on Apple or Spotify or our website, www.conductor.com. Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. This has been Conductor. This episode was engineered and mixed by Mary Hannah Klontz with intro and outro music by Chloe Garut and ad music by Kate Crellin.
Discover more resources at conductor.com.